Hi, everyone. John Michael Coppola here, and welcome to the Chicago Theater Makers Podcast, where we chat with the actors, directors, choreographers, designers, producers, music directors, lyricists, playwrights, and all the artists who make the Chicago area theaters come alive. We're so excited to have you here with us today. But before we get started, we just want to remind you to please like, subscribe to, and share this podcast with your friends and colleagues who you think would appreciate the conversations we're having. We'd be so grateful for your support in this way so we can continue to bring these stories for years to come. Thanks again for being here, and now, curtain up on today's episode. Today's guest is a Chicago-based actress and teaching artist. As a company member of Timeline Theater, she has performed in over 15 of their productions, including the role of Maria Callas in Masterclass. She has performed with the Goodman, Steppenwolf, Victory Gardens, Lookingglass, Northlight, Drury Lane, Marriott and Writers Theatres, as well as a variety of regional theaters, including Woolly Mammoth in D.C. and Milwaukee Rep in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Also seen on both TV and film, she has garnered 10 Jef nominations in seasons past, and this season is nominated for 2 productions, as part of the ensemble of Northlight's A Prayer for the French Republic, and for her role as Queen Elizabeth in Drury Lane's The Audience. She will also once again be the announcer for this year's Jef Awards. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Janet Ulrich Brooks. Now let's go to the top of the show. Hi, Janet. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
You bet, you bet. So, as is our custom here at the Chicago Theater Makers Podcast, I always like to ask our guests right off the bat, please give our listeners a little bit about your background, where you grew up, and a little bit about your training, but most importantly, what your first theater experience was. Hand off to you.
Well, my first theater experience was sitting around the dinner table with my parents, listening to them learn lines for a play for the Hamburg Little Theater. I was born in the Buffalo area. We lived in Hamburg, New York, and my parents were school teachers. My dad, industrial arts and driver's education, and my mom, at that time, she was teaching first and second grade. She ended up being a speech therapist later on. We moved away, and they went to grad school and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, the first 10 years were in Hamburg, New York, and they would direct musicals together. And my dad would direct the orchestra because he was, he played the organ and the piano, and he was the music guy, directed the choir and everything, So, and then my mother would direct the play. She always wanted to be an actress. And so I was like watching them learn lines around the table, and I was learning words. And I think from the get-go, theater's where I learn. Do you know what I mean? I was like, what's pregnant mean? They were that was that play he was learning. You can't take it with you. No, it wasn't that. It was something else. It's never too late.
Okay.
Some play that, I don't know, old play. In fact, I have tons of old scripts of my mother's up there. Anyway,
Oh, that's lovely.
I don't know what to do with them.
Libraries or theater schools often take them.
I don't think, yeah, but I mean, these are like old, like, the girls in 509. It's like stuff from, the 50s and 40s and 30s and, and I mean, there's no, and it's more like community theater and a lighter fare as opposed to like, Clifford Odets or something,
Sure.
But anyway, so yeah, so then sometimes I would get to go to rehearsals, and was never a kid who ran around. I always just sat there and just watched, and loved it. And then my grandmother, at the opening night, final dress was always senior citizens night. So my grandma would take us to go see, and I would be telling, that's my dad. Cause that's my mom. Yeah. So, anyway, those were and then of course they took me to Melody Fair, which was a theater in Buffalo, in that area. And, oh my God, just seeing stuff all the time, yeah. Anyway, I could go down that rabbit hole forever.
That's okay.
We ended up moving, and then we moved again. And I did a couple shows in high school with my parents when community theater in Warrensburg, Missouri.
All right.
The Ulrich family. We were like the Von Trapps, only much smaller.
How many were there total?
Just 4. My parents, my sister, and me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where did you went to from state of New York to Missouri?
My dad, we went to Michigan,
Michigan.
For Michigan State for a couple of years, which was amazing. because my folks were in school, and so they were working hard, and it was a kind of an experimental 60s education kind of place, because the students in my school were all we lived in married housing. And so all these kids
Oh,
from all over the world, it was a really global campus.
oh wow.
So there were, people from the Philippines and Ghana and I mean, just like just all over the world. And we would learn each other's, you know, cultures and eat each other's food and, whatever. So it was a big playground socially,
Yeah.
and they didn't have grades. They had a like just interviews with your parents, conferences with your parents 4 times a year. And because my parents were school teachers, and all our friends were school teachers, and my parents' friends were school teachers, I knew how to be a good girl in school. So I didn't cause any problems. I just didn't read any books. I was like out playing with these kids
Yeah.
and whatever. Anyway, so then we went to Warrensburg, Missouri.
Okay.
Things got more serious there. It was a kind of a culture shock. That was 1968,
Okay.
and not as global as East Lansing, Michigan was. And but there was Kansas City. We were about 40 miles southeast of Kansas City.
Okay.
And so again, we went, to the theater and the symphony and the blah 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 blah. And then when it came time, so I went to junior high and high school there. And then when it came time for college, it was like, well, you can go here where your father teaches, and it won't cost you anything. And this was back in the day when, it cost like $12.95 a semester to go to school.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was like, or not, basically, was my option. So I did. I stayed at home and I went to college there and majored in theater. And it was great because it was just, it was a smaller program, a lot of kids from Kansas City. And uh, you got to, from the get-go, you got to get on stage and do stuff and try and fail and,
Yeah.
and get a lot of experience and stuff. And then summers, I started working in 77. I started working at Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri, which is a theme park. It was an 1880 theme park, singing and dancing in the saloon show.
Amazing.
And so that was a big, huge training ground for me because you're doing 10 shows a day and you're
Yeah.
just, like in front of audiences all the time, right? So that was when I was in college. So I would summer, like most kids came to college, left home and came to college and then went home for the summer. I did the opposite. I was at home during the school year and then went off and entertained at
How
Silver Dollar City in the summers. So
how great. What an
yeah, so that was
experience.
kind of my training ground.
Nice. And
And
then
worked with
how did you make
go
it
ahead.
here to Chicago?
Oh, okay. Cut 2 years later, my sister and brother-in-law had moved to Harlingen, Texas. They were teaching down there.
Okay.
Lots of teachers in my family.
Let's see.
And they were moving to Evanston. They'd gotten jobs in Evanston teaching, and my niece was like 16 months old at the time, and my sister had stayed home a year, she was freaking out. She's like, "Where am I going to find daycare in the big city?" And so I was like, Chicago. I knew some people from grad school. I went to grad school in Macomb, Illinois. State schools, baby, all the way.
Yeah, good.
Central Missouri State and Western Illinois. And I had an assistantship there. So I got to go to school, get an MFA with no student loans.
That's amazing.
I mean,
Unheard of.
and I know how lucky I am.
Yeah.
I know what just daisies I stepped into. Anyway,
Yeah.
so so I had met friends from Chicago, and so I was like, they got theater in Chicago. I could go there, and I was leaving. Okay, full disclosure, I was going through a little divorce
Okay.
in the
Happens.
80s.
That
What do they
happens.
call them? Starter marriages.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was friendly, it was amicable, it was just, he's a musician, I'm an actor. What are we doing? So I was going to move back to Kansas City because I would go there and do dinner theater up there, and that's where I got my first equity card. And then I was going to move back up there, and then my sister was worrying about daycare in Chicago, and I was like, I could nanny. So I came and moved in with them and took care of my niece during the day. And scrounged around at night, and yeah, and that's how I got to Chicago.
Fantastic. Now, what was your first equity job at the dinner theater that you mentioned?
The Unsinkable Molly Brown.
Oh, nice.
And I was a dancer back then.
Once a dancer,
So
always a dancer. Janet, come
yeah,
on.
right, right. Well,
We may
I'm
just get
dancing a
better
little
at the other
slower
things too.
now.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. 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 I hear
yeah.
it. Great.
But yeah, so it was the Unsinkable Molly Brown. I was in the ensemble, and yeah, singing and dancing, and that's how I got it.
And then what was your first job here in Chicago?
Well, I did a couple of shows. When I got here, I went to a couple of auditions, and then I realized it was kind of with equity. I was young. I was 30, but it was kind of tick-tock, the game is locked, I mean, like
Mhm.
I needed to get in line. My resume made no sense. Branson, what's that? Um,
Especially back
Now people
then.
know that.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
Brexit was
yeah,
in its
yeah.
infancy back then. Yeah.
So this is 88,
Yeah.
1988. Yeah. And so I did a couple of shows with some like blind faith theater, I don't know, something else. And I did a Carol Churchill play with some people on Halstead. I don't even really remember the names of the theaters because they were like things kind of starting out and whatever through people I met.
Yeah.
And did a couple shows with now my husband, um, my current husband. But I got a job with Child's Play Touring Theater, and we performed stories and poems written by children. And
Oh,
back in the day, at that time, it was a full-time job with benefits, and I was like,
whoa.
where do I sign?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I, you know, dropped the equity card and took that job
Yeah.
and toured as an actor for 4.5 years. Doing arts and education, and from an educator's family, it was pretty great. And I was making a living as an actor, and I had benefits, and it was
Yeah.
awesome. And then 4.5 years in, our artistic director, Victor Patagrossi, who had started the company, because we did writing workshops with kids, giving them places to find writing ideas, and then those schools would send us that was basically the whole fall, and then the schools would send us all these stories written by kids, and we would read them all. We got about 15,000 from around the country, and then we would start going back to those schools and performing world premieres written by students in
Yeah.
in the school. And it was really validating for children's creativity, and I loved the work, and I loved. And well, anyway, then Victor passed away, and a lot of us kind of tried to keep the train on the tracks for several more years. And but my job kind of fell into doing the summer camps, doing residencies, integrating the arts into Chicago public schools. It was a big push right then. So I was doing a lot of arts and education, and teaching and working in the schools. And as I got older, I was like, boy, that's a young person's job. That takes a lot of energy. And I really missed acting. And on 9/11, when I watched people jumping out of buildings, I thought, you could have to jump out of a building tomorrow. You don't know. Or in a couple hours. You don't know.
Yeah.
So I was like, if all the choices you made and everything you wanted to do was about being an actor and you miss it, then find your way back to it. So it took me a couple years to, organize my life and figure out how to get back to it. So my first show back in Chicago theater was in '03, and it was with Chicago Jewish Theater, and it was an equity house, but I was taking, a non-equity contract. So in good faith, I talked to my sister-in-law. I think you know her, Peggy Roeder. I'm
Oh, yeah. I didn't
You
realize
know
that was your
Peggy.
sister, your sister-in-law.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Her
she's
youngest
sweet.
brother, Paul, is my husband.
Oh,
And
that's Peggy.
so yeah. She was like, well, you should call equity and let them know. I was like, yeah, you're right. So I did, and they were great. They were just like, well, you can come back anytime, but in good faith, just at least do EMC and work your way into the Chicago theater scene.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. Got back in line at the end of the line, and I said one thing. I just said, I have to get paid something.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to do it for free. I mean,
Yeah.
and we sold our house. We sold our house to get out of debt so that I could do that, which was
Amazing.
Amazing.
I mean,
I
amazing,
mean,
but by the grand scheme of how the universe sort of like opened your eyes up in those unfortunate events, But
right,
you
right.
gotta take the bull by the
I
horns.
know. And I thought those series of unfortunate events had led to us not being able to, afford the house and everything like that. But then it was like, but, or we could invest just in our lives and each other and what we really want.
Yeah.
Rather than property.
Wow.
And we're better at renting, my husband and I. I'm giving way too much
No,
information.
this is what
Okay.
podcasts are like. We open up. We open up. So is your husband
Okay.
an actor? I don't know that I ever met him.
No, he
Okay.
was well, he was more of a crooner, We met doing 1940s radio hour,
Okay.
and he was Johnny
Yeah,
Cantone,
he was.
and he is Johnny Cantone, and we sing a lot together at home. But he was a scenic carpenter for most of
Okay.
his life. Yeah, yeah, and now he works at a warehouse and delivering auto electronics. He doesn't even own a car. Well, we have one car together.
Yeah.
He never owned a car. He rides his bike everywhere he goes. So
Save the
it's kind of
environment.
funny.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I loved hearing the career transitions. I mean, I'm sort of that school. I was professional actor for many years. Came here to Jersey Boys, did some theater around
Right.
town. But my kid was very young and needing the constant cash flow and the benefits. I put myself in the corporate world for about 10 years, and that unceremoniously ended in June. So my half joking retirement plan was once my kid was out of college, I would find my way going back into theater full time. Now, of course, I had PTO built up and I was able to do projects like, Assistant Choreography Fiddler and things like that.
Right.
But now that my job had ended, I kind of did the same thing. I looked at my life. I was like, you know what? The universe told me maybe that's not the thing for me. The job market everywhere else is awful. I mean,
oh
awful.
my God.
And I kept sending my resume out, and I was like, I need another job. I need the benefits. And then my wife was just like, you could just also start auditioning
Do
as
what
well,
you want.
as well, like look for a job. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
And so I got new headshots, and I'm out there auditioning once again. I took my green card back. I was in this status of like non-payment, I forgot what it was called, but it's like I didn't have
temporary withdrawal. Or something
yeah, something like that.
That's what it
Basically,
used to be called.
I just had to pay the current dues, and that was it. And it wasn't a whole lot of money. So I was like, why not do it? And I really contemplated, like, do I take my card back, or do I try and do some non-union work? Because like I'm at a different age than I was when I left the first time. And so like, how many older middle-aged character guys are there non-union? But I was like, really, if I'm going to do this, I got to get my card back and maybe even build up the health insurance week so I can get my health insurance off the roll and get theirs to only pay for theirs. So there was a lot of considerations back and forth, and I'm ultimately
kids will do that to you. I heard.
Yeah, they will, and a lot more, both good and bad. But we're very fortunate with what we have.
Paul and I are both kind of kids. Like I always say, we're grasshoppers who fiddled, and now we're like older, and we're like, oh,
yeah, it's just a number. You're as young as you feel.
Yeah.
So give our listeners a little bit about your creative process. Now, for some people, it's when they first get the script. Some people, it's not complete until they get a costume on. I'd like to hear what Janet likes to do to.
I don't think mine is that codified. I think it depends on the project. Like, and you used to be able to go in a little more freewheeling because the rehearsal processes were longer. Now they've gotten shorter and shorter and shorter. So you have to learn so much ahead of time. I used to be like, I can be very familiar, but I can't. I was complaining about it one time. I was like, I'm a kinesthetic learner. I learn by doing, I learn by absorbing and being into it. And I think a lot of actors are, but there are those people who can read from the page and just learn it that way. And, then what happens to me is as soon as I look up, then I'm looking at my scene partner, and whatever I thought about goes away. I still have to hold that script for the first, week or longer. But it used to frustrate me because I thought, well, why do you have to do all the work before you're getting paid to do the work? Where and I was like, where else does that happen? I said this to my sister, and she was a teacher. She goes, teaching. Right. Okay, I'm gonna go talk about this to somebody else.
You're not giving me the answers I want.
I know. And some people go, well, you're just lazy if you don't work it ahead of time. It's like, I'm not lazy.
Yeah.
I'm over here stressing about it. Believe me, I'm
Yeah.
spending a lot of energy every day freaking out about trying to learn this. But yeah. So Paul, whew, bless him, he's my guy. He helps me. He's my scene partner. We'll eat dinner and then we off to the living room and he plays everybody and I, learn my lines and he reads with me so I can, at least get the rhythms. I think it's very important for me to get the rhythm of the playwright.
Yeah.
I always start with punctuation and I do read the the stage directions. And you can kind of tell some stage directions are the stage manager's directions that said,
Right.
um, she walks stage left. Well, that one doesn't
Right.
count because that was their production, whatever. But there are some that are clearly from the playwright. And those I want to contemplate. I want to look at those and think, because I'm looking for writer's intent because I think our job is to tell the story that,
Hmm.
right, to tell the story.
Right.
So anyway, so I guess that is a process that I do always start with. It's helpful to know concept. Sometimes I wish that, in fact, I just got this from. I'm getting ready in a few weeks to start a show at Writers Theater, and I got from the director today the whole concept, that they're talking about with design and with everything. What a help because that sometimes is for me to learn to know conceptually where I am, what I'm thinking, what I'm walking, what I'm walking into. And a lot of times the first day of rehearsal, because lines to me don't live on their own, you
Sure.
know there's a lot to this storytelling and
Yeah.
it takes a village. So the first day of rehearsal is oftentimes the first time the actors hear from the designers and get to find out what their costumes are going to look like and what the lighting is and sometimes you're just like, oh, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good to know. Or sometimes it's like, oh, I got to shift gears, whatever. So to get that ahead of time is really helpful and generous. I wish that happened more often.
Yeah.
I'll put that out there.
Yeah. 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 But if Janet was ruling the world, Janet would
If I
say,
was in charge,
that's
if
right.
I had enough money to be a producer, I would, yeah.
That is a genius idea, though. I don't know why people don't do that in advance, even if
I
it's
know.
just the early renderings, just to say, here's what
Right.
we're thinking. We'll have more information for you on day one.
Sometimes I think they're afraid we're all going to share it on social media or something, or we're
Yeah.
going to get word out before they start. Because marketing departments, they want to be the first to announce things in the way they announce them.
Yeah.
And, but we can be sworn to secrecy
Sure. Yeah.
with cash. No, I'm kidding. You can buy my silence.
Yeah, there's I've actually been doing some background work lately for like Chicago Fire and Med and PD, and they're very adamant in their emails. Do not share any spoilers on social media or you will be asked to leave immediately. Like it's a lockdown, which I mean, understandable, but theaters could have the same edict saying we're sharing this with the company members only. Please do not share the outside the company. And just like I think if they were very, very emphatic about it, people would be understanding, right?
Don't TikTok, don't Instagram.
Right?
Just wait until we're all on the same page.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I like to think that anyway. I mean, there's some outliers that I'm like, on second thought, maybe that's not a good idea for that person. But
don't tell him.
Yeah,
right. I'm old enough you can send it to me. I don't know how to TikTok.
Anybody 45 and older, they're safe to send it to. Anybody younger than that, no.
Yeah.
Sorry, you Gen X and Y and Zers out there.
I'm going to pick up my rotary phone and dial up some people and tell them about it.
See, we have absolutely no fun here on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Janet, tell me, do you have any pre-show or post-show rituals or like warm-up hacks that you tend to rely on, or do you just sort of is it dependent on the role and the character in the show that you're doing at the time?
It kind of depends on the role and the character and the space. If there's room, if there's some place to, really stretch out. I like to spin.
Oh,
so
really?
if I can go, I like to spin around. It's kind of great.
Okay.
the equilibrium, and sometimes I like to go upside down and just let blood drain to my head, and
Now,
yeah,
when you
because
spin, are you like a whirling dervish, like looking at your hands so you don't get dizzy? Like, how do you do it so you don't?
no, I don't look at my hand. I'm sorry, like that, like a word. Right? No, no. I put my arms out. I don't. Well, sometimes I spin kind of fast, but I only spin like 5 or 10 times and then stop
Okay.
and let it come back, and then I do it again about 5 times in a row.
Okay.
And then there's some other stretches that come after that kind of, but
Yeah.
that's kind of yoga-ish, Pilates-ish,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
things that I do. Those are the ones I stick with. But yeah, I like spinning, and it really does kind of I don't know, it kind of does the same thing as lifting, and some people are like, "Oh, I don't ever like to spin. I don't like to be off balance." And it's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I don't know, my whole life I think is off balance."
Right.
So,
Otherwise, why would we
but
be doing this?
yeah, I think we get scared of being off balance. Like when you're a kid, you always want to roll down the hill and spin around until you're dizzy and
Yeah.
just make sure you got some place to pad the fall if you
Right.
go down.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Somewhere
Yeah.
soft to land.
Yeah. So physically that's that stuff I'll do. If I have to sing, I might do a little but actually I more go Mike Nussbaum, I had the great fortune to get to work with him twice, and
Mm.
his vocal warm up was show me the money, show me the money, show me the money. And so,
And it lives on in
when
you.
we did it, yeah, I do that. And when we do a two-hand, we did a two-hander together, and I would try to, kind of like as he did it, I would harmonize with him, kind of Gregorian chant style is what it ended up sounding like.
Oh, I love that. I'll have to
Yeah,
remember that one. Put that into
yeah.
my bag of tricks. Um, Now, this was the question that I asked Ronald Keaton, to where he sang your praises. So I'm going to ask you as well.
Okay.
Are there any theater experiences here in town that have stayed with you? And you could also choose to include experiences you had as a company member, or simply just
Sure.
answer with experiences you had as an audience member.
Oh God, I've had so many as a company member with Timeline. uh, Doing Weekend, the year that in 2008 when Obama was elected, and it was a satire. Um, the playwright just went out of my head. Ugh! It'll come to me.
That's
It'll
okay.
come to me later,
Yeah.
or I'll text it to you later. Uh, it was a political play at that time, and it just grew more and more, relevant all the time. I love it when plays grow more and more relevant all the time, and it's just amazing.
Yeah.
So those experiences always get me. Doing All My Sons was amazing because you just like step into a play that's so well written. You just show up and say the words. And I love new plays. I love doing new plays, and yeah, brand new stuff that nobody can say, well, when I saw Zoe Caldwell do it on Broadway.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? You
Right.
can't. It's fresh. It's new. Who knows? A Philip Dawkins play called uh, uh, Flatline. um, Failure, a love story.
Okay.
And I did it the year that it was right after my father passed away, and my mother. It was the first play my mother came and saw after my dad died, and everybody in the play dies. These like tragic, gloriously tragic deaths,
Oh.
but it's a celebration of life. It's
Hmm.
such a celebration of all of their lives. And my mother was just overtaken with it. And she was like, that's just what I needed, and it just made you feel that way. It was just, yeah, that was a really, and that was a brand new play, and could do anything with it.
Where'd you do that? Where was that?
It was at Victory Gardens upstairs in the Richard Christensen room. And I should have prepared. I should have written things down.
No, that's okay.
It was um, because I love the guy who directed it, and Seth Boakley. It just takes me a minute because I'm old and I'm learning other lines.
It's okay.
It was 2012. That was a long time
Long time
ago.
ago. Sure, sure.
Seth Boakley, really creative. Oh, really creative guy. Anyway, so that was a special. They were all, and I got to play a snake. Um, watching kids with child's play, like you're doing a play by this kid who has never had any kind of good thing happen to him in school ever. He's in special needs classes. And then he wrote this poem or this story, and we turned it into this play, and all of a sudden he's the hero of the school, and everybody's high-fiving him, and grandma's there with the camera, and they're all, that's how long ago it was. So that was my camera.
Yeah.
And that amazing, when you reach people. And watching Peggy Roeder up at what was the theater up in Highland Park? Apple Tree Theater? Is that what it
That
was?
might be before I landed in Chicago, but I think so.
Yeah, and she did Search for Signs of Intelligent Life in the
Oh, did
Universe.
she? Oh, I would have loved to see her in
Holy
that.
cannoli. And I saw Lily Tomlin do it down at the auditorium.
Yeah.
And then I saw Peggy do it up at this little tiny theater. And she was amazing. Blew me away. And at the end, it's like she comes out, starts the bows, and you're really half expecting the next person to come out. And then you realize as this one person stands there, holy shit, she was that one. Oh my God, she did. Holy. And then you're standing up. And then I look over at Paul, and he's like wiping tears,
Oh, how
for his sister.
fantastic.
But yeah.
It's funny. I actually emailed Peggy recently because I was on a flight back from somewhere and I had never seen the movie Groundhog Day.
Ah.
And I was like, is that Peggy? And then finally the credits over, I was like, son of a... And I emailed her the minute I was like, Peggy, I just watched Groundhog Day for the very first time. And that was the first time I connected with her in like years, because I had worked with her years ago. But that's,
our family calls Groundhog Day Peggy Roeder Day.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And we pass around her memes. She's got memes and things. Yeah.
Does she? Oh, now I got to look for up a Peggy Roeder.
Oh, yeah.
It's super fun. Given that your parents were teachers and you did this, that's the student written plays, and you did that for such a long time, did your parents ever see any of those productions? And I'm just curious how proud they must have been to see you sort of melding the two livelihoods together.
Yeah, I got to go back there and do some guest artist things, but they came and saw, I did a one-woman show called Golda's Balcony, where I played Golda Meir, and it was real hard. One of the hardest things I ever did. And I remember it was at Pegasus Players, and the day I saw my name go up on the marquee, I was like, I'd never seen my name on a marquee before, and I was like, oh shit, now I gotta learn this. I was like, what?
No going back now. Yeah.
And other people are just like, who the hell is that? But anyway, so it was a great experience. My parents came, and it was a great house that night. A lot of people came out for Golda. People show up for Golda, and there was a standing ovation. And okay, so Paul came with them.
Sure.
And this Pegasus Players was at Truman College, so the dressing rooms were downstairs. Down these stairs. And after the show, I came in, and it's so weird coming backstage after a one-woman show. You come in, and you're like, you kind of sit down, you look at yourself in the mirror, you go, hey, good show. Yeah. How you doing?
High five.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah. So I just, okay, take a breath and start, taking stuff off. Paul comes in, tears in his eyes. He said, okay, everybody's standing up, they're clapping. And your dad turned around to the people behind him and said, that's my daughter. And he had heard me tell the stories about when I was a little girl going, that's my daddy. And it was this amazing full circle. Yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Have you and Peggy ever performed together in anything?
We finally did at Drury Lane when we did Murder on the Orient Express. And that's why she decided to do it, because she had done it down in at Oslo in where is that? Sarasota, Florida, right?
Okay.
And she was coming back. She'd just come back to town, and she was kind of like, you know what? I'm done with theater. This is exhausting, and I'm just going on partial retirement. And so she's just been doing like film stuff and a couple of Chicago med things, and whatever, doing things here and there. And so they called her to see if she would do that, and she was like, we've never worked together before. Let's do this, you know. And so I played Helen Hubbard, and she played the Russian princess, and we had a blast. And it was about 3 weeks, maybe two into the run. And she's sitting backstage, and I came off from a scene, and I was sitting down next to her, and she goes, "Yeah, I think I'm done with 8 shows a week." Because it's exhausting.
Oh my gosh.
I
Yeah.
just, oh my God, I just came back from Peninsula Players where we did 6 shows a week. It was it was so civilized.
Yeah.
Those five, Friday, Saturday, Saturday, Sunday,
Yeah.
Sunday,
Yeah.
those are hard.
Yeah. Now, they don't do any matinees on the weekends up there? Is it just, I've never been to Penn
Right,
Players.
because it's summer stock, so they've got other things rehearsing during the
Oh,
day. So
sure.
people who are in that show at night might be
Yeah.
rehearsing during, yeah, yeah. So it's the last show on a Sunday is the only matinee they do. And it's there's a roof on it, but the sides are open, so it's like a
Oh,
garden, big, yeah, yeah.
gotcha.
So it's kind of the one time when everything's in the light. But they do that because then they have to strike and change over the next day so they can
Gotcha.
start tech on the next show on Tuesday morning. So
Whew,
yeah,
summer stock.
opening Wednesday night. Yeah, I mean it's nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy town,
it is.
but it's also really, really beautiful.
So let's talk about the Jeffs, of course. You're nominated for 2 plays. One is for your role as Queen
Yes.
Elizabeth in the audience, and one is part of the ensemble of Prayer for the French Republic at Northlight.
Yes.
We talked about your process, but taking on the role of Queen Elizabeth is huge, I'm sure. Tell us what that was like.
Okay. I had done it once before at Timeline,
Okay.
but we had done it in the round, very fishbowl, small, and then now here we were doing it and we had just a couple guys play all the, Mark Ulrich and Matt DeCaro played, and Carmen Roman was Thatcher, but those two guys did all the prime ministers, so they were changing mustaches and wigs and
Okay.
but at Drury Lane, it was me changing clothes every 11 times, 11 quick changes. and different guy, and then I would kind of spin around and go, okay, who am I talking to now? You. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I must be 68. I'm 27. Sure, why not? And so I mean, the thing with her is she's so visible. We have footage of her and pictures of her from, forever on, and she was the most visible woman in the world. And so on one hand, that's helpful because you hear how the voice, the timbre of the voice changes over the course of someone's age,
Yeah.
how even the dialect a little, things change, posture, of course, dress, whatever, but same hairstyle, same
Yes,
hairstyle.
indeed. Different
Classic.
colors, but same
Different
haircut.
colors,
Yeah,
different
sorry.
colors, different colored wigs.
How many wigs did you have?
Find it. I only had 4 wigs,
Okay.
but I had to change them every time because it wasn't chronological.
Oh boy.
The show jumps from, back and forth in time and stuff. So you're old, you're young, you're old, you're young,
Yeah.
And so I, along with that visibility and, oh wow, this is fun, I can, I have a lot of information to pull from to work on. It's also daunting because people know who she is and what she sounds like and what, so you want to get as close to that as you can, but
Yeah.
still keep the play alive and act. And it's still me. I still got this nose and these ears that she, didn't have, whatever. I mean, seriously. And I heard they never stop growing your whole life. So anyway,
Hers didn't either, by the way. So, you have that in
I
common.
need that hairstyle.
Yeah.
So daunting and helpful, at the same time. And then, then all of the dramaturgical things about how specific, like, how we always, like, if we think when we just pretend, if we were just doing improv and we were going to drink a cup of tea, we would put our little pinky out,
Yeah.
That's not what they do. That's gauche.
Mm,
That's like nouveau riche. That no,
mm,
there's a certain way you hold the cup, the
mm,
certain way, and as a physical person, clearly, yeah, I move around a lot.
yeah.
Um, one of the hardest things about it was how staid she is,
Ah,
and how contained she is, and how, and I, and then how do you get that to the back of a theater
yeah.
when you're really not doing much, so it's like, how are you? I don't know. Anyway, I just did that and my lower back went, ow, remember that? And I was like, yep. Because I sat in one chair looking like this all the time.
Wow.
Physically, it was harder. It was harder to be contained than it is to just, hey, ha, to do Helen Hubbard and, dance the can and,
Yeah.
whatever.
Did you spin before that show?
Or the Charleston. I did spin
Yeah.
some before
Got
that
to
show. I
get
had
got to get
to.
the energy out somehow
I
before
did,
that thing.
and I did a lot of hip, like yoga kind of, relaxation things and stretching in my hip
Yeah.
because that would be very, very rigid. And
Yeah. Very un-Janet like,
yeah.
which is a great acting challenge.
Yes, don't be yourself.
Don't be yourself.
Whatever you do.
Yeah, ever. Let's talk a bit about the Jef Awards and how some people find them to be very important in the landscape of Chicago theater.
Right.
I want to get your point of view on that. And actually, you did mention you wanted to chat about this sort of narrative that the theater is dying, and you're adamant that it's not dying. There's just so I want to
Right.
hear all your points of view about the Jeffs and your point of view about the narrative the theater may be dying out there.
Well, the Jeffs, I think, how great is it that there's this group of people who come see every freaking show?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't go to that much theater. I mean, even if I could, because when you're working, of course, you can't get to see stuff. But
Right.
um, even if I could, I don't know that I could. It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
They give a lot of their time to this.
Mm-hmm.
I know there are people who, say, oh, it's political and oh, it's this and it's that. And it's a lot of things. And, anytime, I mean, you and I could go see the same show and have differing opinions. So
Mm-hmm.
it's always good. There's always going to be subjective thoughts about whatever,
Sure.
it's always going to be subjective. But I just think of the time and energy that they put into it. And then they throw you a big party at the end of the year. And it costs to go to it,
Sure.
but it's one time, it's like some people love it because they're like, oh, it's the prom, it's the theater prom, and some people are like, I don't know, I'm not into it. And that's why I think some people are going to be into it, some people are not going to be into it.
Yeah.
I say, golly, thanks for caring, keeping Chicago theater in the spotlight, keeping Chicago theater in the press,
Yeah.
making it known that we're here, and look at all the theaters that, and that's the thing that blows me away every year at the Jeffs is you go and you think, like, you see the nominees and you're like, oh, I saw that show. Oh, she's going to get that, and then somebody else wins. You're like, what? I didn't see that show. And you see how many theaters there are and how many artists there are.
Yeah.
And it's
Equity and non-equity.
yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
It really is amazing, which is why it leads kind of into no, theater's not dying, because people need to tell stories. People need to tell their stories. They need to tell other people's stories. We need to go and sit in a room and mourn humanity and cheer for humanity and get angry at humanity and laugh our asses off at humanity. We need to do that, and I think people always have needed to do that and explore the big ideas and find way, and it only becomes more challenging when somebody comes in and tries to clamp down on it, when when all of a sudden there are boundaries. It's like, well, you know what, artists have always pushed the boundaries. So
Yeah.
and COVID was hard, and some theaters made it and some theaters didn't. And again, life things out of our hands that happen, that what are you going to do?
Right.
But wow, have you seen how many new theaters are popping up? Kids are coming out and they're starting again, and it's great.
Fantastic.
I see that and it's like, oh yeah, no, it's humanity. It's how that I think if there's anything that really is that makes us human, it's connecting and telling stories, connecting and sharing thoughts and ideas.
Well done.
So
Bravo.
thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you.
I've been doing this with all of my Jef nominees, just a little fun thing that I've never done on the podcast before. So it was good to do a little lightning round. First couple of questions
Okay,
are going to be
yeah.
like these long time Chicago arguments, and then we're going to get into a few theater specific questions. So first
Okay.
one you got to ask is deep dish or thin crust or tavern style?
Thin crust.
Thin crust, very good.
Thin crust
That's
all the way.
been the winner every single time I've asked.
I was born in New York.
Same, yeah. Cubs or White Sox?
White Sox.
Okay. Your favorite spot for post-show gathering spot, like a watering hole or restaurant?
Right at my table when I sit down in the dressing room. I just want a little sip of something. Like that. And depending on the theater, what's close? What do I not have to drive to and then drive home from? It's harder. Yeah.
What TV show, album, podcast, or book are you currently enjoying?
Well, you know what? Oh, podcasts. Wow. I'm kind of a junkie on the, I'm going to watch yours now. And, I've been watching a lot of political stuff and it's
hard to get away from it.
I know it's hard. It made me like yesterday I got my hair cut and I was like, give me some highlights. I need something bright. I need something to brighten my life. And because I was just like, ugh.
Yeah.
So but I do love me some Heather Cox Richardson. She knows her history. She calms me down. She focuses me, and there are a lot more of those that are happening. There are several of those that I watch, and I've been doing that instead of watching TV and then I find on my YouTube channel, Forgotten British Television. Oh, I love those.
How
and
fun.
I love those. And I go and I watch some episodes of this, that, or the other. And they're really fun. And I love British television because they let character actors be on TV. Like they let real looking people. You don't have to be
right.
Studley Hungwell. I don't know, whatever. You don't have to be beefy or whatever. Or drop dead gorgeous,
Yeah.
So I love British TV for that. And then and every once in a while a movie like, oh my God, I never saw that movie. Maybe it's some old movie in black and white, or maybe it's, something more newer that I just never saw, so I'll grab onto those kind of randomly. And I just read Tom Lake, and I shouldn't have said that because I have to go get the book to remember that I know the playwright again. Oh God.
That's okay.
Erica Steffen gave me the book, and she was right. It was like it's very much about this outdoor summer theater, and I was up at Peninsula Players reading that, and it was kind of a great, little thing. But
we talked about the Jeffs, but now we're going to go away from that. Tonys, Grammys, Emmys, or Oscars?
Tonys. I mean, I don't always watch. I mean, like I'll come in, I'll remember they're on or something, and I have to get it on my computer, because. We have this. We broke our television. I clocked my knee into it, moving it to do a self tape, because every time I have to rearrange the furniture every time I do a self tape.
Isn't it lovely?
So yeah, boom, and then all of a sudden it started off as this little teeny tiny thing, and then
boy.
It's like, well, you know what? I've got a computer, so I'll watch it. So I'll forget to watch, and then so I get highlights or whatever. But I think that the Tonys do. I mean, New York dancers, come on.
Nothing like
on
them.
New York dancers. Yeah. The Oscars cannot compete. Yeah. And the Oscars depend on, like what I've seen, or, I always want to find out the next day, what happened. But I don't spend a lot of time. Yeah. Sometimes I forget.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
I was in New York. I was in New York this year, the weekend of the Tonys with my niece. We met. She lives in Houston.
Was it crazy town?
It was so fun because we stayed really close nearby.
Okay.
And, we saw some other shows and stuff, but we had tickets the next night on Monday night. We saw Oh Mary, and with Cole, and So I have never been in a theater that was that electric.
I bet.
It was like the night right after Cole had won, the director had won,
Yeah.
and and we had tickets to go because we were like, what are we going to do on a Monday night? Well, maybe we could find some music or some comedy or something because theater's always dark on Monday. And then my niece finds these. She goes, they've got an O'Mary on Monday night, and I was like, okay.
What a find! Wow.
Oh my God, it was amazing. It was like the best experience ever. So we watched the Tonys from our hotel room, and in this really great big old TV, in this really nice room we had, that was because of I don't know, her father-in-law is fancy in business, whatever. So we got this nice hotel room, and which is why we could afford tickets.
Yeah.
And we watched the Tonys on that big TV, and oh my God, when Colascola won, we just went. We both just, our arms shot up, and then we looked at each other like, we're going!
How fantastic. Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I can't wait to see that. We usually go back to the city, to the New York area for my family to see them for the holidays. And that's tough for our list to try and get tickets for. Probably going to be $500 a ticket, but we'll see what we can do.
Ours were only $2.
Yeah.
We were lucky.
So this is going to be my final question in our little lightning round. What piece of advice have you ever received that you like to give to aspiring artists?
Right. You said that. And, be on time, bring something to the table. If you don't have any ideas that day, bring snacks. That's mine. That's mine. It's like, at least help everyone else keep their energy up.
Oh my God. I love that. In the absence of ideas, bring snacks.
Yeah.
There. Yeah.
Just bring something to the table and, be present. And then, what I have come to also is, live theater. Whew. So great. It's, it's the actor's place to be. And it's not an oil painting. It's live theater.
Yeah. There's
no perfect doesn't exist. Only a more perfect. Better.
Oh, I like
there's allow it to let it breathe. That's what I said to my friend one time. I said, it's not an oil painting, it's live theater. Let it breathe.
Wow, that's I never heard it's not perfect, only make it more perfect. That's going to stick with me for a while.
I just made that up. But it's kind of like, a more perfect union. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Love it. We people with 3 names, John Michael Coppola, Janet Ulrich Brooks. I mean, we come up with these bangers every so often. Yeah.
Just every once in a while.
I want to thank you for your time. This was lovely. I had the best time chatting with you.
Thank
And so will you be at the Jeffs? Some people I know that are nominated aren't able to attend this year.
I will be. I am supposed to be being the announcer at the Jeffs. So I'll be backstage.
Okay.
Now you'll hear my voice.
Great. We're going to be doing our first live stream. So we'll see how well that goes. But hopefully we will see each other on the red carpet and we'll just give each other a little
it's going to be interesting doing it in a new place. And,
and quite frankly, I wish they would bring the Tonys back to a Broadway theater rather than Radio City's nice. Right, not more people. Right. I'm sure they're covering their expenses and whatnot, but they really should move it back to a Broadway theater and a different one every year to give a little love around. And I know that won't sell as many tickets and I get all the commercial aspects of it, but I really do think it's fantastic that they brought it back downtown this year at the Jeffs.
Yeah, although I live so close to Drury Lane, it was really...
Do you? I didn't realize
I'm in Oak Park. It's like 20 minutes. I'm just like...
Well, that's not that far from the city.
I gotta go downtown.
Isn't that 20 minutes from the city too?
Yeah, but then there's parking and there's traffic and I'm talking 20 minutes easy peasy. I could go Roosevelt. I don't even have to get on the highway.
No, okay.
I take the streets. Yeah. But yes. No, it's going to be great to have it downtown. I don't know where they're going to do, if they're going to do food, how they're going to do that, at the Harris Theater. But but I'm excited to find out. I hope I'm going to be, it's planned that I'm going to be announcing. I also just found out I'm going to be rehearsing that day. So we're kind of negotiating how soon I can get out. So I don't know, maybe I will. If you don't hear my voice, you'll know I had to be up. Yeah.
You bet.
Like Glencoe for,
Thanks again so much for your time. Thanks for joining us at the Chicago Theater Makers Podcast. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. The Chicago Theater Makers Podcast is a production of Spirit Art LLC, and our podcast theme music is by Paul Langford. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the podcast, please drop us a note at our website, ChiTheaterMakersPodcast.com. That's ChiTheater, makers with an S, podcast.com. We hope you enjoyed spending time with us as much as we enjoyed spending it with you, and we'll see you on the board soon.